Yeah,
Is it
the recording
started?
has been started, it does. Yeah, it has been
Yeah,
started.
thank you. So, yes, hi, good morning and good evening, everyone. So, guys, welcome to the SAP Ariba demo session. Okay, so this is the first demo introduction where we'll be, interacting with each other and sharing the insight of SAP Ariba. Okay, so we have Manoj with us. Okay, Manoj is having more than 19 to 20 years of experience altogether, in which he has started with SAP MM, and later on he was working on SAP CRM also, and last 11 years or so he is working on SAP Ariba only. Okay, and he is a solution architect. He is going to take up all your sessions further. Okay, guys. So in today's session basically we are going to Manoj is going to demonstrate the benefits, features, and the job prospective of SAP Ariba, and those who are willing to upgrade themselves from any other module like SAP SRM or SAP MM. Even you are just a procurement consultant. That's more than enough for us to opt for this particular training. Okay. Anyways, like we'll start now, Manoj, and the rest will be the process would be like initially Manoj would be demonstrating everything, and every one of you will be on mute. Later on, once the demo will be done, we are going to unmute everyone. I mean, like unmute one by one, so that we can answer your queries. And I really request every one of you to just note down your queries over there. Okay, once your turn is coming, I mean, like you need to raise your hands once the session is done, and we are going to take the queries in detail, guys. Okay, with respect to the technicality of, I mean, like technical aspects of SAP Ariba, and also the administration part, like regarding the training, how to enroll, what the benefits will be getting, what are all services will be getting apart from which are already mentioned in the email to you guys. Okay, thank you so much, and be patient. And it's really going to be a very interesting session today. Uh, all right, guys. So Manoj, over to you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks very much over here, Raj, for a wonderful introduction. So before we begin, guys, few small things. Now, this training on Ariba, this we started as a joint collaboration almost 4.5 years ago. So our main goal was basically not to just train anybody, but to mentor. So that is why if you ask Iraj on one-to-one basis that how many batches we have done, how many participants we have trained in Ariba, so he will basically say the number will be coming somewhere around 2400 or 2500 plus participant. Why? Because our goal was just not to train anybody. Why? Because what we are seeing in the market is whenever somebody trains, the end result is the participants are having good theoretical knowledge. That good theoretical knowledge is a feel good factor. But when they go into the project, excuse me, what happens? All the hell break loose. That is where they feel that theoretical knowledge is lacking. That's one of the big issues in the training. So when we came up with this training, our goal was simple: that the knowledge which we will build in this session, this knowledge will directly help our participant to work in the projects. That means our goal was not to basically learn the Ariba theoretically, but to understand it from a practical point of view. What things happens in a project, how it happens in a project. Now, of course, we cannot do a project in our session. That would be pointless. But how we work, what are the solution processing and the design element within Ariba which we use, how we use it, how we apply that knowledge, that is the major essence of these sessions. So our sessions are not similar like our competitors. Our sessions will be very, very different. Why? Because our end goal is to make all of you guys understand that when you will go to a project, how you should work, how you should basically face a problem, because at the end of the day, when you're going into a project, you're getting a requirement list, and from the requirement list, what is happening? You are trying to understand this problem and how you're going to find a solution to that problem. And once you find out the solution, how will you implement that solution in a system? That is our goal, nothing else. So that is why, if you have heard Eraj before, now what Eraj has said, that this is not only for today's session, but for every session. First, we will show the content. Why? Because this content, I have learned it from the last 10 years. This content, I have worked on this project. And once I have worked on this project, that particular knowledge we are going to share it with you first. Once we have shared the knowledge, then you come back to me with your questions. So what will happen? You will understand the stuff first. Then you are having a question, you will be asking me that question. Otherwise, in between, if you ask me the question, the first and foremost thing is it will become like a fish market. And the second thing is, what is happening is like, what I have done in the project, I have to remember back and we have to use. See, in our session, we will never use PPT. Why? Because PPT are generally used when you don't know about the things or you're talking about theoretical things. The points will be written and then you will explain it. See, we are having an empty notepad. Every session we will working with the empty notepad. We are not going to work with a PPT. Why? Because all the practical knowledge, what we have seen in our project, we will basically see it over here. Okay. Now, I think rather than wasting any time, let us begin our session. Now, the first and foremost thing, when we will basically begin with our session, what would be our goal? So the goal is basically to understand what is SAP Ariba. Now, whenever somebody asks me that, Manoj, please explain to us SAP Ariba. What does Ariba means? So huge amount of technical or theoretical knowledge will come into the picture. I will say, let's make it simple. So you went into a project and your client is basically asking, okay, we have taken the Ariba subscription, but what is Ariba? Explain it in simple words, which we should understand. So then I will say, it's a procurement based software relying on cloud services. So procurement, I think everybody do understand, because all of you guys are coming from a procurement background. We are talking about sourcing, we are talking about contracting, we are talking about P2P process, all those things. So we can do procurement related activities in this software, but Ariba relies on cloud services. Now, I think majority of you guys do understand the difference between on-premise and cloud services. Now, when we used to have this session in 2017, at that point of time, what used to happen was like, you know, people were, somehow they were not aware of on-premise versus cloud services. But right now, in 2022, everybody knows about it. Everybody know about cloud versus on-premise systems. So cloud means here the application server will not be maintained by the client. It will be maintained by the service provider itself. Who is the service provider over here? Ariba itself. Okay, very good. Now, whenever we talk about Ariba, Ariba will be divided into two things. The solutioning perspective. Now, upstream and downstream. Now, some of you will basically say, Manoj, there is nothing called as upstream and downstream. Then I will say it have a nickname. I think all of you guys will have your real name and then you will have a nickname. Exactly. So in my home, people call me by my nickname. But when I go to office, nobody will call me with my nickname. Same thing. So upstream is also sometimes called as strategic sourcing module, or sorry, strategic sourcing solution. And downstream is sometimes called as buying and invoicing. Okay. So please don't panic if you don't hear the word buying and invoicing. Somebody is saying downstream, that means buying and invoicing. Somebody is saying buying and invoicing, that means buying and invoicing only. Similarly, upstream, okay, very clear. Strategic sourcing, that is also upstream. Okay, so these are not different with each other. Okay, now uh, we need to understand what is this two solutions of Ariba. Now, if you want to understand what are these two different kinds of solution, again, I don't want to explain to all of you guys any way or like by chance also theoretically. So let us try to understand these solutions from a project perspective. Suppose you went into a project, okay, and there you are trying to define what is upstream, what is downstream, or what is strategic sourcing solution, and what is buying and invoicing solution of Ariba. So how will you define it? Now, before we go and define this thing, if you go to any client and if you ask them that how this whole uh, what you can say this whole procurement is basically uh, as a process is defined by you. If you ask the client how it is defined or where it is defined, if you ask them, they will say the procurement is majorly divided into two scenarios or two process. Okay, now what they are or how it is done. Now the first and foremost thing is new items and old items. Now items means what? So items can be anything. It can be material or it can be service. Because at the end of the day, when we are doing procurement, it can be either material or service. Guys, if you are having a issue with this, uh, what you can say, with this streaming over there, what you can do is like you can basically maximize the screen. See at the top of go to training, there's a maximize button. So please maximize it. Yeah, yeah. Please maximize the screen. Otherwise, what will happen is like you might see the screen very, very small. Yes, sometimes, this legitimate, this is a legitimate issue. Sometimes it happens over there if you don't maximize it fully. Yeah. Now let us talk about new items and old items. So items means materials or services. Now what is the meaning of new? What is the meaning of old? So the meaning of new and old is means new means you are procuring it for the first time. Old means what? You have already procured it. For example, let's try to understand this thing from a point of view of excuse me, our day-to-day life. From our day-to-day life. Suppose you are saying, Manoj, I want to buy a smartphone. Then I will say, have you bought a smartphone before? Now assume all of you will say, yes, I have bought a smartphone before. So it is an example of an old item. Why? Because you have already purchased that before. Again, you are basically doing what? You are having a new phone, but that new phone does not mean that you are procuring the phone for the first time. Why? Because we have already done that before. Now let us say You have never bought a laptop. None of you have bought a laptop before. So then I'm asking, okay, you want to buy a laptop? Do you, have you procured this laptop before? Now, as I said, assume that none of you have bought it before. So you will say no. So that means what? You are going to procure the laptop first. Now, the way you're procuring the laptop and the way you're procuring the smartphone, is it same? I'm not talking about Ariba, I'm not talking about SAP, I'm not talking about anything. I'm just talking about from what you can say, from your daily life perspective. The answer is it will be different. Exactly. And why it will be different? Now, what you will do for smartphone, you will go to the shop. Now, some of you will say, I will go to Amazon, I will go to Flipkart. Assume that you are going to a what? You are going to a shopkeeper. Now, here for the smartphone, if the sales agent comes and say, okay, boss, tell me which one you want to buy, then you will say, okay, I have used OnePlus, I have used Xiaomi. Now it's definite time to upgrade. I will try to buy what? Samsung Galaxy. That's a much better product compared to OnePlus and Xiaomi. Exactly. Now some of you will say, no, 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 that is not good. I will buy iPhone. Okay. But there, if the sales representative try to basically make you understand, okay, uh, uh, this iPhone, sir, there are different model in iPhones. The most priciest model is having a great screen, three camera, more memory, more hard disk. Then you will say, okay, boss, stop. Why? Because I already know about this thing. I've already procured it before. I know about this thing. So what is a smartphone? What are the features of a smartphone? If you pay more with iPhone, you will get much more. So we all understand that particular thing. Why? Because we have already purchased it before. So you will say, okay, you don't have to lecture me. Just tell me the price. Pay the money, take the phone. Done. But let's say, for example, you have never procured a laptop before. Now you go to a showroom and there you ask for a laptop. Boss, show me some laptop. Then immediately the sales agent will come and they will say, okay, for what purpose you are going to buy a laptop? Then I will say, okay, for doing some work, a little bit of leisure multimedia watching. That means I will watch some YouTube and something, nothing else, nothing much. I'm not going to play game into that. Okay. Then they will say, okay, you are having different models from different companies like Dell, HP, Lenovo. Dell will have superior multimedia experience, stable experience. Their support is very good, and the product is also very good if you are willing to spend a little bit more. If you want to go for the XPS model, damn good. Now, next comes the HP. HP is also good, but what happens with HP is HP's laptops are a little bit flashy and their top of the line laptop models are more expensive compared to Dell, and their servicing option, if you take extra servicing option, is much more costly compared to Dell. Now comes Lenovo. Now Lenovo, what is happening is, of course, their looks are not so great. Why? Because they are professional laptops. So if you are looking for a laptop that looks good or is aesthetically pleasing. You won't get that in Lenovo. Second thing is cost is not very high, but also not too low. Third is servicing. Again, servicing is costly compared to Dell. And processing power, that means if you go for the top of the line models for Lenovo, Lenovo is much more costlier than HP also. Yeah. Now these are the different options. Now you take a decision. Then you will say, okay, I think, I need a laptop. We should be having decent, we should be giving me decent performance. But along with that, the servicing should be a little bit good. Why? Because I am willing to buy an expensive product, but I'm not willing to spend too much on the servicing option because 1 year service warranty is free. I'm going to upgrade it to 1 plus 3 years. That means 3 years extra I'm going to pay for it. And for that, what I will do, I will pay extra. So Dell is the most good choice for me. Now, since you are determining Dell over HP and Lenovo, how you're determining on this information which the sales agent has given to you. Why? Because you have never procured it before. Without this knowledge, you would not have bought a laptop. Now what you will do? Now the next thing is very simple. You will basically pay for the Dell laptop, Dell XPS 15. You will pay for it and take the laptop. That means what? So first you were basically checking the different parameters of the laptop. After that you come to the price. Sometimes you will say, I will not trust this showroom. I will go to another showroom to check whether this guy is selling me what? The original product. Second, they have not inflated their price. That also I want to check. Which you will only check for new items, not for old items. So in this way, the procurement is different. Now, why I wasted almost 20 minutes of all of you guys for what? For making all of you guys understand the procurement process versus new versus old? Yes. Now, why it is important? Because you will understand few things you should always understand that when you look at Ariba, excuse me, it's very important that you first understand the process behind this Ariba software. Because if you don't understand the process, what will happen is like you won't be able to distinguish which client will require upstream, which client will require downstream, which client will require upstream plus downstream both. Exactly. So as a responsible Ariba consultant, you will be also be called in a pre-sales activity. So there the client will ask, okay, what I will, what I should implement, upstream or downstream or both. So there I have seen majority of the Ariba consultant, what they will do is like they will, you know, do like a toss of a coin. Oh, upstream is good. Somebody will say downstream is good. Somebody will say upstream plus downstream. Immediately your client will ask the question why. There you cannot give a generic answer. Oh, every client is implementing upstream plus downstream. How do you know that? Our Your client will say our requirement is different from the other client's requirement, then how you can say everybody is using upstream plus downstream, so I will also use upstream plus downstream? That's the issue. So the first and foremost thing before you learn Ariba, you have to understand which solution is used for what purposes. Once you understand that, then what will happen? Then you can go deeper into the solutioning process. So that is why I'm taking time to make all of you guys understand that what is upstream, what is downstream. Once you understand and have a very clear picture of what is upstream, what is downstream, then you can go inside the solution. First, you have to understand the solution, then you can go inside it. Exactly. So now, what is upstream? So procurement of new items. Okay. What is downstream? Procurement of old items. Now remember that definition is still not complete. See, I am just beginning to form a picture. So, if you have seen an artist who has started the drawing, you know, once they start the drawing, you will not understand what is happening. But almost when the picture is almost completed, at that point of time, you will have a understanding. So remember, this is not the full definition, but this is just the beginning. Upstream means procurement of new items. Downstream means procurement of old items. Now, if you go to Ariba and if you ask any Ariba consultant new items, they will say there is no what? No technical definition or technical word like new item, old item. So what is the technical name? Okay? New item means non-catalog item. Okay? Old item means what? Catalog items. Okay? So that means I will use this terminology over here. So when you go to Ariba project, yes, for your understanding, you can keep it as new item or old item, but in reality, the meaning is you should use this terminology. Okay, very good. Now, as I said, new item, that means non-catalog items, means what? You have never bought it before. So never bought it means what? Do you know from which supplier you have bought it before? All of you will say, Manoj, what question you are asking? We have never bought this product before. So how will I know from which supplier I have basically procured this product before? So I will not know the supplier. So next, if I ask, what is the price of this product? Now all of you will say, are you joking? I have never bought a laptop before. So how I can tell the price of the laptop and from which supplier I will buy from this laptop? I don't know about it. So what you're asking? On the other hand, for old item, that means your cat catalog items, supplier is known. All of you will say yes. Why? Because I have bought it before. Supplier is known. Price? Yes, that is also known. So that means the effective difference between a catalog item and a non-catalog item is what? The supplier and price is known for the catalog items, but the supplier and price is not known for non-catalog item. So that is why the procurement of non-catalog items will be fundamentally different from the procurement of catalog items. So whenever you are defining upstream, so you have to say over here that boss, this is procurement of non-catalog items where base source of supply. So source of supply, please don't say, hey Manoj, what is this, source of supply? Source of supply is nothing but the supplier and the price. They are the same. Okay. So keep this thing in your mind. Similarly, what is this option? Downstream slash buying and invoicing, procurement of catalog items. Here we will say, so that means what is upstream? What is the meaning of upstream? So the meaning of upstream over here is we are not knowing the source of supply. So what we are trying to do, we are trying to find out who's the best supplier and what is the best price for procuring the non-catalog item. And then we will finalize it. That is what it happens in upstream solutions. What happens in downstream solution? In downstream solution, we will say, we already know the source of supply. First, we already know the source of supply. That means what is the supplier, what is the price, we know about it. Very good. What next? So when we know about the source of supply, so what we will do, we will just order the product catalog item from the supplier. Supplier will send us the product, so we will take the deliveries and we will pay for it. That is called as the downstream process. So now you understood that major two parts of Ariba. What is upstream, what is downstream? See, that is why I told all of you guys that new item, old item. Why I'm spending too much time? That means catalog item, non-catalog item. Majority of the Ariba functional consultant who is going for the implementation project, they don't understand the difference between a catalog item and a non-catalog item. See, this catalog item and non-catalog item is fully controlling your different solutions of Ariba. Now all of you guys understand that upstream means non-catalog item, downstream means catalog item. But before you go anywhere, upstream and downstream is not just solution, they are separate database. Now those guys who are basically coming from ECC 6.0 or SAP S4 HANA background, that means SAP ERP background, so all of you will be not understanding this thing. Why? Because this concept will be alien to all of you guys. Why? Because whenever you have worked with any application, that application will have a single database. But in Ariba, what happens is like you don't have a single database, you are having two databases. Two databases means what? Upstream will have one database, downstream will have another database. Okay, Manoj. So that means what? So that means these two databases are different. So those of you who are coming from SAP ERP background, he will say, I will do a sourcing project. After that sourcing project, I will directly create a PO. Yes, we can do this thing in SAP ERP. Can we do it in Ariba? Not directly. Indirectly, you can do that. Why? Because two separate database. How will you move the data from one system to another, one database to another database? Indirectly, it can be done. So we will understand it. But for now, please don't think I will do a sourcing project. Sourcing project is present in upstream. PO is a present in downstream. Two different database. Okay? So please keep this thing in your mind. Okay? One of the most important thing for all of you guys. Okay? Now, let us try to understand the upstream solution first. Just for all of your reference, so that you don't forget, just writing it down. Now, upstream solution, every solutions of Ariba will be divided into what? Will be divided into different modules. Now, what is the first module? The first module is sourcing. Now, what we do in sourcing? So, sourcing is nothing but finding the best source of supply. As I said, you have never procured a laptop before. So what you will do? You will go to multiple showroom. I want to buy a laptop. So the salesperson of the multiple showroom will basically give you different information. So think of yourself as the client. Okay. So keep this thing in your mind. So keep this thing in your mind. This is a very important thing. Okay. That's the first thing. Second thing is, think of yourself as client and all these three or four shopkeepers or showrooms as what? As suppliers. So what you will do? You will basically ask from different suppliers. That was what are the price, what are the different things. Same thing over here in sourcing. You have to find a base source of supply. Now, once you find a base source of supply, what will happen? You have found out the source of supply over here for the what? For the non-catalog item. Now, what happens in sourcing? What are the different processes? Now, majorly you will see RFI and RFP. request for information, and this is basically request for proposal. Now, what we do in request for information, in this case, in RFI, we will ask the supplier that, boss, you give us the technical information. You give us the technical information. No, there is no RFQ. RFQ is a thing which is present in SAP ERP. In Ariba, there is no request for quotation. So this quotation actually, RFP is equivalent to that of RFQ in ERP. So in Ariba, there is nothing called as RFQ. Yeah. Now, in RFI, what we will do, we will capture the technical information, or we will ask the technical information from the supplier. Supplier will give the technical information to us, and then we will award the sourcing project. But remember that awarding is not the final awarding. Once we do that, it is completed. Now, next, RFP, request for proposal. Here, what we will do? Here, we will ask the supplier. Here, we will basically ask the supplier about the price. Show us the different price, or give the price of the different quotations over there. So once the supplier gives the price, then we can basically say, okay, this supplier is the best supplier among all the other supplier. So that means what? We do have the source of supply with us. Now, when you will have RFI, or when you will have RFP, any guess on this part? That means when you will use RFI and RFP, because this is the question which your client will also ask you. The majority of the Ariba consultant, what they will do, oh, in ERP what we have done, or that means in SAP ERP what we have done, same thing we will do it in Ariba. So if the product is totally new, non-catalog item, then what I will do? I don't know anything about the product. So I will do RFI first, gather the technical information. Once it is done, then I will do the RFP to gather the price also. And then we will have the base source of supply. That means if it is new items or non-catalog items, RFI and RFP. Then what is the next thing? If we do the for the catalog item, what we will do? Catalog item means we have already purchased, procured before. So I know the best supplier, what is the best price. So in that case, what I will do? I will directly, for catalog item, I will directly go to RFP and what? Do the RFP. That's it, done. Now, now, sourcing module is a part of the solution. Upstream solution. Okay. And in upstream solution, what is the difference which I have given? You are procuring non-catalog item. You are procuring non-catalog item. Now, since all of you said only non-catalog item, why we are talking about catalog item as well? And that is what I will ask to majority of the Ariba consultant, because majority of the Ariba consultant will say in upstream, sourcing is part of upstream solution. So there you can only work with non-catalog item. So how will you define when you need RFI plus RFP and when you need only RFP? Oh, Manoj, if you're having non-catalog item, RFI plus RFP, catalog item, RFP, you cannot have catalog item in sourcing. Why? Because sourcing is part of upstream solution. In upstream solution or in upstream database, you can't have catalog item, only non-catalog item. Now, all of the Ariba consultant are basically thinking, yes, Manoj, this is a big issue. Yes. How will you find a solution for this thing? See, that is why I told all of you guys at the beginning of the session that our sessions are not dealing with theoretical knowledge. Everybody can, read a standard Ariba guidebook and they can basically explain what is RFI, what is RFP. That's it. But you ask them in a project where I will use RFI, where I will use RFP, huh? Catalog item, non-catalog item. But catalog item you cannot have in upstream because it is not, you cannot use it in sourcing, neither in upstream. So it's a very big issue. That is why you will see in tomorrow's session, we will begin with sourcing. Today is a demo session. So in tomorrow's session, you will understand that how will you define, even though upstream means non-catalog item, sourcing means also non-catalog item. Now within the non-catalog item, how will you define which one is RFI, when you will need RFI, and when you will need RFP? Exactly. So in our next session tomorrow, the first half an hour, 45 minutes, I will basically make all of you guys understand that within the non-catalog items, there will be certain divisions. And you have to ask some specific question to the client. Once you start asking them this question to the client, what will happen? Client will basically tell you the differentiating factor. Now, based on the differentiating factor, you can basically say to the client, RFI or RFP. Plain and simple. Okay. But remember, this modules means detailed session for each modules. We will see one after another. But today we are basically understanding an overview. What are the things which we are going to see in our sessions? Now, once you have found out the source of supply, what you will do? Then you will do contract. Now, what is contract? Now, if you ask what is the meaning of contract, I will basically start saying majorly it's a legal agreement between buyer and supplier, right? Now, when you say legal agreement between buyer and supplier, that means what you're trying to do. As I said, we are trying to finalize the source of supply. Why? Because to, let's say, the ABC supplier you have selected, you have awarded, okay, $500 for the laptop. Very cheap laptop you want to buy, 500 laptop, ABC supplier. Now, this ABC supplier start providing you these options. Now, 1 year from now, what happens is like this product's price increases from 500 to 750 in the market. Same product. Now your supplier will be saying, hey Manoj, why? Why I will basically give you, ABC supplier will say, why I will give this product to you at $500. Market rate is 750. So I will not give you the product. So how will you basically make sure everything is okay? By saying that Boss, you have signed a contract. It's a legal agreement. You have to give us this product for whole 2 years. 1 year you have given, another year you have to give. Then we can basically discuss whether we want to increase the price or not. But before that, we are not going to discuss the price will increase or not. Same price will be used, and you're legally bound to do it. So that is called as finalizing the source of supply. Now here also, what I have seen is like none of the trainer or none of the Ariba consultant will basically talk about a technology. So you will see in Ariba, it can be either DFS or ECA. Either of this technology will be used in contract. Nobody will talk about it. Everybody will learn DFS. DFS means desktop file syncing. DFS contract they will learn. And when they will go to the project, in the project they will come to know, oh, there is nothing called as DFS. Why? Why within the project there is nothing called as DFS contract? Because DFS has been made obsolete by SAP Ariba. Oh, so which one is used? I think all of you are having an idea. ECA. Now understand, DFS is a totally different technology. The way of doing the stuff and the way of configuring this stuff is totally different compared to ECA. Now all of you have learned DFS. Very good. When you are going for the implementation, you are seeing no DFS is present, only ECA is present. Now, as I said, DFS and ECA technology are totally different. Now, you are saying, hey, boss, what we are seeing in contract over here in the client place and the template configuration which we are seeing for the contract in the client place is totally different from the things which we have seen in the training. Why? Because DFS is obsolete. ECA is currently used in the projects. So our goal in this session is to not learn DFS, but ECA contract, so that when you go to a project, you will say with 100% confidence, okay, ECA contract process, I know. ECA template configuration, I know. No issues with that. Exactly. So keep this thing in your mind. In our session, for contract process, we will see ECA contract. For template configuration of contract, we will see ECA template configuration. Now, supplier onboarding. Now, whenever I will talk about supplier onboarding, it is basically called as SLP. So, what I have seen is like majority of the Ariba consultant, they will always say Ariba's process will begin from SLP. Don't worry, guys. ECA, as I said, like the ECA enhanced contract authoring, we are going to understand all of this thing. See, as I said, sourcing will have one full session to it, not one, actually two. Contract will have one session. So that means whatever modules which we are seeing over here, we will have individual sessions on those particular modules. Exactly. Otherwise, how we will complete? But as of now, ECA is basically enhanced contract authoring. But when we are going into the project, and not project, individual session, so there we will understand what technology is used in ECA, how the process flow happens in ECA contract, and how the ECA template configuration happens, all of this thing. Okay, so all of these things we will basically understand. Don't worry about this thing. Yes, of course, ECA or DFS, either of them is a part of Ariba cloud solution only. They are not different. Everything is on Ariba cloud. Nothing is on premise over here, guys. Whatever we are writing over here. Now, whenever I will talk about SLP or supplier onboarding, majority of our Ariba consultant will say SLP is the first thing what we do in our project. Now, I think most of you are already coming from SAP background, right? Since you are coming from the SAP background, when you will do data cutover activity period, or when you will have the data cutover activity period in your project, now, all of you will be thinking, so you will say what? Discover, analyze, prepare, then what? Build, then UAT. After that, data cutover activity period, after that go live is there. Exactly, right? So you will do the supplier onboarding during data cutover activity period just before go live. So how come you can say supplier onboarding is the starting of the process? That's almost at the end of the project, just before go live. So how you can say in your implementation project, supplier onboarding is the first thing which you should do? See, this is why we have to be very, very clear. You, as a Ariba functional consultant, you have to think this point. Supplier onboarding is a activity in your data cutover period. Now here, some of the Ariba functional consultant will say, "Oh, we will onboard new supplier." Then I will say, "Okay, you are onboarding new supplier in Ariba. Okay, yes, you are basically onboarding supplier into Ariba, but from where?" Now, this is where some of the consultant will come to me and say, "Oh, from internet, from advertisement." Then your client will say, "Hold on for a moment. Hey, boss, before Ariba, we are doing also procurement. We are doing procurement process right now also. Yes, we will implement Ariba maybe at the end of this year. Go live will happen. But right now we are doing procurement process. Oh, where you are doing? In SAP ERP. And we are already having 3,000 to 4,000 or maybe 5,000 to 6,000 suppliers present over there in ERP. So when you are saying that you are having 5,000 to 6,000 suppliers present in ERP, what you will do? You don't have to think about it. You have to just do what? Onboard the supplier from ERP to Ariba. That's it. You are not going to bring any new supplier from anywhere else into Ariba, but only from ERP. Now, supplier onboarding is not a simple thing. Yes, legacy system, or you can say backend system. We are going to replicate. Now, this is not a very simple thing. Why? Because in Ariba, you will see that you are having two logins. Their logins are not so simple. So there will be one login. This is basically called as Ariba buyer. The second one is basically what? Ariba network. So Ariba buyer will be used for what? Ariba network is basically supplier only. Okay? So there will be two application. So please remember, these are two separate applications. These are not just only URL which you will be working for. Okay? So what does it mean? Ariba buyer will be used for buyers only. Buyer means what? The users who are working for the client. That means the employees of the client. They are the end user. Plus the functional consultant who are implementing Ariba. They will have buyer access. On the other hand, supplier, those users who are basically supplying the goods and services, they are called as supplier. Supplier will never log in into Ariba buyer. So for them, there is a separate application which is called as Ariba network. So within the Ariba network, the supplier will basically log in. That means, excuse me, that means when you are going to think about replicating this 5,000 to 6,000 supplier from your backend or legacy system into Ariba, you have to not only copy the supplier in Ariba buyer, but also copy them in Ariba network. Why? Without copying the supplier in Ariba network, what will happen? Supplier cannot log in into Ariba network and they cannot view their transactional document over there. So the major advantage of Ariba network is, see, if you go to or S4HANA, what you will see, this PO is basically sent either through email as a PO attachment or through EDI. Exactly. But for EDI, your supplier needs to have an ERP. Your supplier is saying, boss, we are not having ERP. So where we will log in as a centralized, any software where we can find all the information. That means all the transactional document which you are sending it to us, whether it's a PO, whether it's a sourcing, or whether it's a contracting. The answer is, if you don't have a ERP, then from ECC or S4HANA, you cannot send it directly. The only option is email with PO attachment. But in Ariba, what happens is Ariba is giving an option to the supplier. Boss, we are having Ariba network. No, you don't need ERP. Create your credentials in Ariba network, log in over there, single source of truth. That means every transactional document which is sent by the buyer will be basically be available over there within your login in Ariba network. So that is why if you see Ariba network, it's the biggest business network of the whole world. Business network. 4.5 million suppliers are present into that. Now there are a lot of participants who come to our session and they will say, Manoj, Coupa is there. Coupa is basically giving a competition to Ariba. Then I will say, so just for a moment, see, you will see Xiaomi is selling a lot of phone. Sometimes they are beating Apple also. Why Apple is number one? Because you are looking at a number of quantities of the phone which has been sold. You're not looking at the price. Excuse me. Xiaomi's phone, which are more popular, they will be costing you somewhere around $300 to $500. Excuse me. But if you look at Samsung, Samsung phones, which are very, very preferred by majority of the customers, they will be $1,000 upward. $1,000, $1,100. So that means multiply this value with the quantity, then you will get a picture. You will understand the business, how it is happening. Same thing over here. Okay? So keep this thing in your mind. And yes, in Ariba, you can basically send a, generally, whenever a PO will be transmitted to the supplier in Ariba network, and automatic email notification will go, but it will not contain the PO output. That means like the PDF will not be attached over there, but it will say to the client that boss, this PO has been sent to you. Please log in into Ariba network using your credentials. You can see all the details of what of the PO. Now there is another option which we used to do in 2015, 2014. Not right now. From 2018, we have stopped doing that. That concept is, instead of using Ariba network, we will basically order the PO, and this PO in a PDF format will go to the supplier as an email attachment. Now we don't do it from 2018 onwards. Why? Because majority of the client is saying, hey, the same feature which are doing, we are doing it in SAP ERP. If the same thing I'm doing it in Ariba, then why I'm upgrading? So you're upgrading from a two-wheeler to a four-wheeler, and if you don't get extra advantage into that, why you will pay extra? Why you will upgrade them? Same thing. So always remember that in Ariba, you should always use the Ariba network for the supplier. Why? Because it's safe, it's secure, and the collaboration between the buyer and the supplier is very, very simple and efficient. So don't try to implement Ariba from perspective. It will immensely backfire. So that is why I say to all of you guys, those who are coming from background or SRM background, please don't try to implement Ariba from perspective or SRM perspective. It will hugely backfire. And your client will start asking you some basic questions over there, that why we are doing this implementation. Now, what we will do, we will have supplier request. So in this process, what we will do, we will just ask the supplier, oh, give us some of your basic details, just the basic details. We cannot use the supplier. Next is basically what we will do, we will basically do the supplier registration. We'll basically ask the supplier, hey boss, we are inviting you. Where? To register in Ariba network, because in Ariba network you have to create your user ID and password. So please register. Okay, now it is done. Then what we will do, supplier qualification. Now here we will basically qualify the supplier. So in supplier qualification, what you will understand, so in supplier qualification, we will qualify the supplier against what? Against a commodity code and region. So that when we are doing a sourcing project, in sourcing project also we have to give commodity code and region. Now once we do that thing, so what will happen is, like, let's say there are 5,000 supplier, excuse me, and out of the 5,000 supplier, we have qualified all the suppliers. Within that, only 15 supplier is having the combination region is equal to US and commodity code is equal to laptop. Now, whenever I am creating a sourcing project with this combination, region is equal to US, commodity code is equal to laptop, this 15 supplier should automatically be recommended by the system. That is what you call a supplier qualification. And that is what majority of your Ariba consultant will say. Okay, that makes complete sense. But anything else apart from that? Yes, there are certain other things also. Why? Because supplier onboarding is part of your upstream solution. And as I was telling to all of you guys, you are having downstream solution. Downstream solution is having a separate database. So when you are basically having a downstream solution which is having a separate database, will you not make sure that the supply exists also over there? Because you have to be very, very clear on this part. Now, for example, see, supplier onboarding in SLP is basically part of upstream solution. Now, you are saying that you have created the supplier. Supplier has created their account in Ariba network. Very good. Now, the issue which will happen is the supply is created in upstream, not in downstream. Now, as we were basically saying, the PRPO process will be created in downstream. Now, imagine a solution or imagine a integration scenario where you are creating a PR and a PO for this supplier in ERP. Yes, Manoj, that can be created. That can be created. That can be created. It's not a big deal. Now, what's the other issue? The issue is when this PO will be created in ERP and it will be replicated to Ariba, where it will be replicated, upstream or downstream? It will be replicated in downstream. Now, once it is basically replicated in downstream, there immediately Ariba will say, boss, this supply exists in upstream but not in downstream. So if it is not available in downstream, how you can create a PO? Yes, exactly. This kind of issues come in the project. And if you go to any theoretical trainer, they will not talk about this thing. Why? Because these are more complex scenario. These are more complex scenario. And in real life, when you will, now you are knowing what is the error. But in real life, you will see when you are going to check the error, you are going to find error status as 202. URL service does not exist. This is the error which you all are going to see over there in the web service. From there, can you find out that the supplier has not been created in downstream? Due to that, this error is happening. No, none of you will understand that. Even I also did not understood when I faced this issue. Then I came to know that when you are doing supplier qualification, excuse me, you are not only qualifying the supplier, but what you are doing, you are also you are also sending this supplier or replicating this supplier from upstream to downstream. Of course, manually you are not going to do anything. Ariba on the background, once you qualify the supplier, after some time, what it will do, Ariba will basically replicate the supplier from upstream to downstream after some, maybe half an hour or 1 hour, depending on the load at that time. Now, once the supplier are qualified, after half an hour or 1 hour, the supply will be available in downstream. So when you will do an integration of the PO against this supplier in ERP and you will send it to Ariba, it will not throw up an error. So that is why. You have to do the supplier request, supplier registration, supplier qualification, all these three things. And these are the hidden meaning behind doing all this activity. Now, whenever I will ask this question, SLP, SLP, you will see in our session, we will basically cover this thing in our integration session. Why? When I say that you have to copy this 5,000 to 6,000 supplier from ERP to Ariba, are you going to do it one by one? No, you have to work in bulk. So how you can do this bulk work? With the help of CSV files, comma separated value files. So you have to prepare the CSV file with the data from the different, from your ERP, and then loading it. Exactly. So always remember, in Ariba, you have to do the supplier onboarding with the help of mass load. Okay. So these are basically CSV files with which you have to work. Majority of what will happen? Majority of the theoretical trainer will basically say that you are going to work in system. No, boss, you're not going to work in system. 5,000 to 6,000 supplier, if you have to do separate three, this three process for every supplier one by one, then your data cutover activity period will take 9 months to 10 months. Just the data cutover activity period, which generally take 2 months, not more than that in a project. 2 months is only assigned to a data cutover activity period. Okay. Now, before you go anywhere, your client will say, we have done the contract, right? We have done the contract. Now, why we have done the contract? Of course, we have done the contract for one certain thing. And what is that certain thing? To be reused. Where it will be reused? In creating PO over there, for creating the PO. Okay, exactly. So keep this thing in your mind. Okay, exactly. So this contract which we have signed and which we have basically buyer and supplier agreed, what will happen? We have to move it to downstream. Why? Because against this contract we will create a PO. Let's say $10,000 is there in the contract. We will create multiple PO whose total value will be equal to $10,000 against this contract. Why? Because you have to consume it. Now the issue is, in downstream PRPO, all these things will happen where? In downstream. But contract is present in upstream because it's a separate database. Now how will you move this data? And you will hear ridiculous thing. Some Ariba consultant in front of me said, move this contract from Ariba to ERP. From ERP, you send it to downstream. Then I said, what is this? This is not integration. So that is where we are having a separate module. What is contract compliance? So contract compliance is a bridge between upstream and downstream through which the contract will get replicated. This is a mandatory question when you will go in an interview. Contract compliance is a part of which solution, upstream and downstream, upstream or downstream? Some of the participant will say upstream, and some of them will say downstream. The real answer is that it's a bridge between upstream and downstream. So it can't be in upstream, it can't be in downstream. It's a bridge which will need access to both upstream as well as downstream. So how come it will be only in upstream or only in downstream? Exactly. So this is the meaning of contract compliance. Now, what we are going to do, guys, we are going to take a small break in between. We are going to take a break of 10 minutes. And after the break, once we come back, we'll understand what are the things which are seen in downstream. And then we will understand a little bit about integration. There are a lot of misconception in integration. Okay, all of those things we will basically understand, but before that we will take a break. So I will highly urge all of you guys that you can go ahead and have some tea or coffee during this 10 minutes break, or you can have some cold drinks also. We will take a break in between, but please don't log off from this training. Okay, so what we will do, we will basically take a 10 minutes break, and after the 10 minutes break we will after this break we will continue with our session. See, our demo has not been completed. Okay, so we will
Yeah,
basically
Manoj.
take a break of 10 minutes. Yeah, 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 Raj.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure, Manoj, sure. And one more thing, guys, like we are going to show you the documents, the material which will be shared as part of this training also. Okay, so stay on. So we'll be back in another 7 to 8 minutes or 10 minutes. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for your patience. So it's now 9:01, right? So we'll be back by around 9:08 or 9:10. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Raj. So let's take a break over here, guys. Uh, Hello, guys. Am I audible to all of you? Can you please confirm?
Yes, Manoj, to me you're audible.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks, thanks, Raj, for the confirmation.
Yeah, I
I
hope
think,
like everyone can hear Manoj very clearly. So, okay. Yes, yes, I think we are getting the messages.
yeah.
Yes, Manoj, thank
Excuse
you.
me.
So, guys, welcome
Yeah,
back to the second part of it. So, after the break, we'll start now. And please stay there. So, we'll be discussing few of the very important aspects, and we'll be taking the queries also from your end. Thank you so much, guys.
excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Manoj, over.
Thanks. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Raj, and thanks for the confirmation over here. So let's continue with our session. Now, as we were basically talking about downstream. Now, downstream means basically P2P, procure to pay process. So in procure to pay process, we will basically create a PR. But here, the PR is very, very different from the PR which we create in ECC or S4 HANA. Why? Because we will create a PR from a catalog items. Now, before that particular thing, you should basically ask this question to yourself. And what is that question which you should ask? That is, Manoj, this catalog item from where it will come? Excuse me. From where it will come? Now, to give you all an answer, the catalog items has to be loaded into the downstream solution. Okay, so please be very, very clear on this part. That means this catalog items has to be loaded into the downstream with the help of zip file. Now P2P basically stands for procure to pay, guys. Yeah, procure to pay. Now from the catalog items, what we will do, we will basically create a PR. PR stands for purchase requisition. Then we will take the approval of the PR. Once it is approved, what will happen? This PO will be created. And remember, this PO will be sent to the supplier. Supplier will basically do what? They will do a ASN, advanced shipping notification. That means they will be saying, hey boss, we are going to send you these goods on, let's say, 16th of March. So be ready. Okay. Make some space in your where? In your warehouse. So when we will basically send this particular product back to you, what will happen? You will be ready with that particular product. That means, like, you will make space so that the buyer will make space so that they will have an idea that by today all these products will come to them from the supply side. That is basically the ASN. Now once this ASN has been done, how will the supplier know that the buyer has received the products? So the answer is very, very simple, with the help of GR, goods receipt. So once the GR has been done by buyer, what will happen? What will happen in that scenario? That scenario is, in a very simple way, we can say that buyer will create a GR saying, okay, this particular product I have received on this date and this number of quantities. Once this is done by the buyer, exactly confirmation, the goods received. This will basically go to the supplier in Ariba network, and supplier can basically, excuse me, what? Supplier can basically understand that this product has already been received by whom? Received by the buyer over here. Okay, plain and simple. Now, after this GR, what will happen? Invoice will get created. Supplier will create an invoice. Hey, boss, we have sent you the product. Now, I have to send you invoice because at the end of the day, supplier will say I will need payment. So this invoice will be created by Supplier and Ariba network. This invoice will come into Ariba buyer. Against this invoice, what will happen? IR will happen. IR means what? Invoice reconciliation. Okay, invoice reconciliation over here. So with this invoice reconciliation, what will happen? Three-way check generally happens. That means the POGR invoice will be checked so that the invoice which has been created by the supplier, is it okay to be processed or is it not okay? So Ariba buyer will basically check the POGR invoice to make sure the invoice is in line. Now once IR check has been done, payment will be happening and the whole process will end. Now this is called as P2P. Very good. Now if you go to a market right now, you go to a market and there you say that, hey, I'm looking for a job in Ariba. Immediately you will see the client is basically saying to you, boss, you know H2P? Do you know about H2P? This question will automatically come from where? Come from the client. Now what does H2P means? Source to pay. Okay. Now why? If you go to a market, your client will always say to you that source to pay is very, very important. That means if you want to work in Ariba, you should have the source to pay knowledge. Otherwise, we will not help you. You won't be landing a job in Ariba. Now, whenever I will go and have a talk with Ariba consultant who are working with me in the projects, so I will basically start asking them that, okay, what's the difference between H2P and P2P? They will say H2P is a separate process, P2P is a separate process. But I will ask again, how will you know? Because at the end of the day, yes, we do understand source to pay process is different, procure to pay process is different, but how it is different with each other? As a functional consultant, if you don't understand that, how will you make the Ariba system understand that? That's the goal. So there also you will say same thing will happen. But then I will say, hold on for a moment. Catalog items. How many type of catalog items is there? Now all of you will basically go to a Ariba book or SAP press book, and there you will try to find out what are the different type of catalog items. All of you will get two answer: static catalogs and punch out catalogs. But when you will go to a project, there you will understand what? That non-contract catalog items are there and contract catalog items are also present. This Ariba will never tell you in book, press book. Why? Because this happens only from a project perspective. Okay, very good. Now, what's the difference? Now, the difference is simple. We talked about this contract compliance. What it do? It's a bridge between upstream and downstream through which the contract will move. So any item along with the contract, whenever it is coming into downstream, What is it? It is doing. It is creating a contract catalog item. Okay, very good. So that means in source to pay, we are reusing the contract from upstream to downstream, and against the contract, we are creating PRPO and all those things, right? Yes. Excuse me. This is basically the H2P process. Now, Manoj, what is this non-contract catalog items? As I said to all of you guys, in downstream, you are loading catalog items. So these are nothing but your non-contract catalog item. See, this is why majority of the functional consultant, if I ask that H2P PO is there, P2P PO is there, how will you understand the difference between the PO? No idea, boss. I will say very simple. Within the PO, if you are having a contract catalog item, that means what? H2P. Within the PO, if you are having non-contract catalog items, that is P2P. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Now, for understanding the difference between a H2P PO versus P2P PO, you must know the concept of contract catalog item, non-contract catalog item. Now, majority of the functional consultant does not know that these two types of catalogs exist. Why? Because they are having theoretical knowledge. Theoretical knowledge dictates static catalog and punch out catalog. Yes, static and punch out catalogs are example of what? Of non-contract catalog item. But until unless you don't go to a project, you will not understand non-contract catalog item and contract catalog items. This is the pure example of the things which you're going to do. Now, of course, I think everybody understand that it is not possible for me to make you understand from a technical perspective. See, we have understood from a very high level non-contract catalog item, what is contract catalog item, what is non-contract catalog item. But in reality, in the system, technical feature wise, how contract catalog item differs from non-contract catalog item, we don't know it until unless we see it. So that is what we are going to see in our individual sessions. Correct? Yes, that is the point. So this is why H2P is different from P2P. So majority of the ARIBA consultant, when they will go for an interview, this is a very simple question which is asked: P2P versus H2P, how it is different. Nobody would be able to say contract catalog item versus non-contract catalog item. Only those guys who has worked in the project, and that too not only one project, multiple project, 2 3 projects, they would be able to define this thing. By this simple question, I'd be able to know whether this guy has worked in Ariba or have just taken a theoretical session. So that is what I told all of you guys at the beginning of today's session. No theoretical knowledge. That is why you are seeing that I am using a notepad. And in every session, you will see I will be using the notepad, not a single PPT. Now, let us try to understand. Now, guys, I do understand you are having some queries. So let's just wait. Let me complete the content. After that, Iraj will show you what are the different documents which we will share with you. Then we can have a question answer session. Yeah, you can ask me your queries. Excuse me. Now, we are also going to see approval configurations. Now, all of you will say, okay, what kind of approval configuration? Now, whenever I will talk about approval configuration, everybody will talk about static configuration, but nobody is going to talk about dynamic configuration. Dynamics means what? Dynamic means, oh, if the region is changing, the approval workflow will change. If the commodity code is changing, the approval will change. If the price is changing, the approval will change. Now, this is basically what happens in your real project, right? Your project, in your project, they will immediately say, oh, Delhi, $1,000. Oh, Pallavi is the approver. Delhi, $2,000. Oh, Eraj is the approver. Delhi, $3,000. Oh, Manoj is the approver. Am I saying that any PR which is created has to be approved by Pallavi, Eraj, and Manoj? No. What I am saying is like I'm laying down specific condition. Delhi region, $1,000. Then Pallavi is the approver. Delhi region, $2,000. Then Eraj is approver. Delhi region, $3,000. Manoj is the approver. I'm not saying this, all of this 3% has to approve it. Only one approver, depending on the condition. That is what? That is an example of nothing but dynamic configuration. And this is very, very common requirement from the client. How will you do it in Ariba? Whenever I will ask this question, then they will say, we cannot do this thing without changing the source code. Source code means, I think everybody has an idea. Source code means coding will be there, and this kind of dynamic configuration, you cannot do it in Ariba. Majority of the functional consultant will say, and they will say that it has to be written with the help of what? Code changes. Now, since here the client does not own the application server is owned by Ariba, you have to create an enhancement request. And each enhancement request is payable by the client, $4,000 to $5,000 for every enhancement request. So it's very, very costly. So client tries to avoid it. But let me tell all of you guys, it can be perfectly be done within the Ariba system with the help of functional consultant only, provided the functional consultant know how to do this kind of dynamic configuration. So that is why I'm saying static and dynamic configuration both. Similarly, in the upstream, template. It does not matter which module is it. In upstream, if you want to do any configuration, it has to be done at a template level. So within template, what we can configure? We can configure the business rule. Okay, what else? Activity, or not activity, sorry, task. What else? Approval. But the most important thing which you should ask yourself within the template is how many templates are you going to use? Now let's say, for example, sourcing. Let's say you're doing just RFP. How many RFP template you need? One or multiple? Majority of the Ariba functional consultant, when they will go into a project, what they will say is one is more than enough. One is more than enough. You will see when we are going into a configuration session in the template, the first thing is I am talking about solution designing for template, one or multiple, and you will understand almost 0% of the client will use one template. 0%, almost. Some changes might be there. Out of 100 client, one client might basically say to you, hey, I will use a single template. But right now, that you will never find. Why? Because majority of the multinational companies who are implementing Ariba, they are having their business not only in one country, not in one region, but multiple regions. Their process will change. So once their process is changing, their template will also change. So you cannot do what? All that business rule changes for all the combinations in one template. So you will need different templates. Now, how will you determine whether you need 5 templates or 10 templates or 20 templates or 50 templates? I worked in a big project. The maximum template which I have seen is 140 templates. 140. Yes, it was a very big project. The question which you should ask yourself is many. Many can be what? 5, 10, 15, 20, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100. How will you determine this many number of templates will be required? That is basically called as a solutioning process or solutioning design. And that is what we will understand first. Anybody can basically go to SAP Pressbook, open the template, can show you, oh, these rules can be configured, this task can be configured, this approval can be configured. Start asking this question, solutioning. How will I know exactly 40 template will be used in this project? That is where you need practical knowledge. And this is the first question which will come to you when you go to a project, in upstream project. Exactly. So that is why within our configuration also, please don't think that I will just show only the things which can be done. No, we will talk about the solutioning part, the issues which you will face in the project. That is basically our goal. Excuse me. Now, this is what we talk about upstream and downstream. Very good. Now let us go into integration. Now, whenever I will go into integration, excuse me, all of the participants will jump up and say, Manoj, configuration, CI9, CIG, I want to see configuration. Then I will say, okay, very good, very good. How many of you know web services configuration? How many of you know what is web services? How many of you know enterprise services? How many of you guys know SOA manager configuration? Now, all of you will be basically be saying that, Manoj, why you're talking about these things? We have never heard about this thing. Yes. So when you are saying that you want to do integration configuration, these are the things which you will be doing. And let me tell all of you guys, 20% of the configuration will be done by us. 80% of the configuration will be done by technical consultant like basis consultant. Basis consultant, if you go and ask them what is SOA manager, they can tell you. What is enterprise services? They will say to you, okay, yes, we have done this thing. What is web services? They know about it. They also know how to do this configuration. So, okay, Manoj, so 80% to 85% of the configuration will be done by basis consultant. Then what is our role? So as a integration consultant or a Ariba functional consultant, our role is to build integration scenario. What is integration scenario? Let's say, for example, let's talk about this payment. In procure to pay process, in H2p pay, source to pay process, there is payment. What happens in payment? Here I'm basically giving you a flavor of what is called as integration scenario building. Payment means what? Paying to the supplier. Whatever is the cost for the product, we are going to pay to the supplier. Maybe after 40 days or 45 days or over 60 days, depending on the payment terms. Now, is it the only thing which happens? And if you say to me, yes, Manoj, only we will pay to the supplier, then your client will come to you and they will say, hold on, Manoj. You are only saying that we have to pay to the supplier. But at the end of a financial year, what will happen? I have to close the account book. Where? In the FI module. Not in Ariba, because Ariba is a procurement related thing. Closing the account book is a finance related thing. FI module related thing in ERP. So then I will ask, what's the linking of this P2P process with the account book closing? Then they will say the money which we are paying to the supplier, it's a considerable amount of money. And when I'm saying that I have to close the account book, that means the profit loss, excuse me, or the debit credit must match. So payment to the supplier is also one of the important entries in the account book. If we don't do that at the end of the financial year, what will happen? The debit credit will not match. I won't be able to close the account book. And if I'm not able to close the account book, what will happen is like the whole business will stop. Now, since we are saying that the whole business will stop, what to do? So we have to design a solution in such a way that not only the payment to the supplier is done, but account book posting should also happen. That this much amount of money have been paid to this supplier from this GL account. So what will happen? The GL entries are maintained. So at the end of the financial year, what will happen? The account book can be closed. Excuse me. Now you go to Ariba and ask, can we do this stuff? Then Ariba will say, boss, we are a procurement based software. Excuse me. We are not a finance based software. So yes, we can pay to the supplier from there, but we cannot do the account book posting. Okay. What about in ERP? If you go to a MM consultant and if you ask that, boss, can we pay to the supplier through ERP? They will immediately say, yes, we can do it. Very good. After that, can we post this information in FI module? Then that guy will say, okay, I have to take some help of FI consultant, but I think it can be done. Then the FI consultant will come into the picture and they will say, yes, by calling in some function module. For FI module, it is BTE, business transaction events, in SAP ERP. So I will give the BTE name to the ABAPer, and your ABAPer has to write a code. And of course, for every payment in ERP, what will happen? I can do a what? FI posting, finance posting, so that the account book can be closed at the end of the financial year. Now, what we will do? We will always say to the client, boss, don't do the payment in ERP. Sorry, in Ariba. Do it in ERP. After that, once you have done the payment, this should happen. So payment should happen in ERP. After that, what will happen? Status update in Ariba should happen. So that in Ariba, we do understand whether the payment has been done or it has not been done. If it has been done, what amount has been transferred to the supplier at what date and time. That's it. So this is basically called as the integration scenario building. Now, if you go to any Ariba consultant, if you ask them where we can do the payment, now majority of them will say, I will do it in Ariba buyer or Ariba, but they are not knowing about the financial posting. So as a integration consultant, as a Ariba functional consultant, you have to take a decision. Now I have given just the example of payment. You have to do it for everything: IR, invoice, GR, ASN, PR, PO, everything. That is called as the integration scenario building. And in the integration scenario building, what will happen if your client is saying, yes, this can also happen because Ariba is subscription based, it is not license based. Some of your client can have only upstream, so the scenario will change. Some of the client can only have downstream, scenario will once again change. And some of your client will say upstream plus downstream, the scenario will completely change. And top of that, I have told all of you guys procure to pay. This is procure to pay, P2P. P2P comes in two flavor: indirect procurement, direct procurement. Exactly. I don't wanted to make today's session much more complex. So that is why I just showed to all of you guys P2P process. But P2P will be again be broken up into two sub processes: P2P direct process, P2P indirect process. And the integration scenario will be totally different. P2P direct is generally called as commerce automation. Excuse me. And P2P indirect is basically called as normal P2P indirect only. It's not called as commerce automation. Different integration scenario. So, excuse me, the most important out of all the Ariba sessions is the integration scenario session. If you are able to understand integration scenario session, you can go to any Ariba project and you can work on integration very, very simply. But if you don't know it, gone. Exactly. So keep this thing in your mind. So what we will do, we'll basically understand the integration scenario session over here. Once it is done, next is the mass data load. So integration, Manoj, what are the different kinds of integration? Master data integration, transactional data integration. What is mass data load? Mass data load is manually loading master data into Ariba. So all of the Ariba consultants generally ask me, Manoj, we are having master data integration. Automatically, we can move this data from ERP to Ariba with the help of what? With the help of integration. Then why manually we will load this master data? So the first and foremost assumption before you do master data integration is the master data must exist in Ariba as well as in ERP. All of you will say yes. Yes, that is the most common assumption. Then I will say, are the master data same in ERP and in Ariba? If you say yes, then I will say, look at commodity code fields. So in tomorrow's session only you will understand commodity code in Ariba is always UNSPSC specified commodity codes. But in ERP, first and foremost thing, you don't have commodity code. You have material group. A material group are custom version. That means for every client, it is defined custom in a custom way. UNSPSC on the other hand is a standardized format for commodity codes. So that means this two data will never match. So how will you basically move this data from ERP to Ariba? So commodity code, you have to do it with the help of mass data load. Similarly, another example, purchasing unit. Now some of you will say, oh, purchasing organization, purchasing group. Then I will say no, purchasing unit. Purchasing unit does not exist in ERP, but it does exist in Ariba downstream. So this data does not exist in ERP. How you can move it through master data integration from ERP to Ariba? No, you cannot do that. So for that we have a mass data load. Okay. So always remember, whenever you are having a project, even if you are having a integrated Ariba system, but still you have to do the mass data load because there are certain master data in Ariba which does not exist in ERP or their format cannot be used or is unknown in Ariba. So mass data load is also a mandatory thing in any project. Next is basically the integration configuration. Now, when I say integration configuration, now here all of you will say CI9 CIG. Yes, CI9 CIG. But as I said, 20% is our job. So we will understand a 20% thing. But 80% things, remember, we will share with all of you guys, both for CI9 as well as CIG, the different tasks which has to be performed. And each of these tasks has been written what? In complete detail. What are the different steps which you have to do, how it has to be done. Now, as I said, 80% of the things will be done by whom? Not by us, by the basis consultant. So this is a custom document which has been prepared by us. You can use it so that you can able to collaborate with these basis guys so that they can do this 80% configuration properly. Why? Because they will say, okay, I will do this web services configuration. What the URL I will put? Because they don't know about Ariba basis consultant. So there you have to say, oh, Ariba buyer URL, Ariba network URL. Then they will ask the port. Then you will say, oh, create a new port and assign it over there. Next, they will ask you, what is the user ID password I will give? Then you have to say shared secret user ID password. So those things, we have basically prepared a document with screenshot for every type of configuration. We have written down the different steps in details, and where those particular document you will also have to read. Why? Because that we have prepared custom document, that is another standard document prepared by me while working on the project. Use that document and guide the basis consultant for 80% of the task. For 20% of the configuration, that we will show it to you so that you can or you are able to do that thing in the system. And for the 80% of the thing, refer to that document and use that document to guide the basis consultant. That's more than enough. Very, very simple. And that document is not complex at all. So by the time we come to integration configuration, integration scenario, mass, data load, all those things will be finished. If you understand the integration scenario session, integration configuration is not a big deal. Just to make sure that when you go to a project, you don't suffer the same fate that 80% which one will be done by basis consultant and how to help them. For that only we have prepared that document. That document also we will share with you. First, we will basically use that document within the session to make all of you guys understand that how you are going to coordinate with the basis guys. Then we will share with all of you guys so that you can use it in your project. Excuse me. Okay. And another thing is basically the reporting. Now we will basically see the different prepackaged reporting, standard reporting which is available in Ariba. After that, we will basically see how the configuration is done for the report. That means how we will customize the report. Why? Because standard report, no client will be able to use it. Why? Because they will always say our logic is not matching with standard logic of Ariba. So how you have to customize it, where you have to customize this thing, all of these things we will understand. Yes, as a functional consultant only you can customize it. You can change the output, the input, all those things. We will understand that from a functional consultant perspective. Now this is what guys, what all of you can expect from our session. Now as I said, today's session was free, so please don't think it does not have any value. Why? Because we always believe that the demo session is the initiation session. Any of you guys, when you are basically coming for our first session, second session, third session, please remember, if you don't understand these things in our first demo session, what will happen when you will come for the first session tomorrow, second session next Saturday, third session next Sunday? What will happen? You will not understand what we are talking about. So please don't think this is a free session means faltu, it means like it does not have any value. No, it does have a lot of value, because this is a stepping stone. If you understand this thing, then rest of the session you can pick it up very, very quickly. Why? Because as I said, our sessions are not theoretical in nature. So we are not going to talk about theoretical things. We are all going to talk about the things which happens in a real project and how will you deal with those particular kind of issues. So basically, this is not your normal sessions, but these are basically a knowledge sharing session where whatever I have learned in the different Ariba projects, the 7 Ariba projects which I have done, actually 6 I have completed, 7th I'm working, still I'm working right now. So whatever I have learned from these projects, the knowledge, that is what we will basically share with all of you guys, so that when you go to a project, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You know what to do, where to do it. You will not struggle. See, clearing an interview with theoretical knowledge is one thing, but working in a project afterwards is a totally different thing. So that is our goal. It will not only help you in interview, because at the end of the day in the interview, they will ask you about these things only. Nobody will ask you theoretical knowledge. Everybody will ask about practical things. So once you say all this particular stuff, once you learn this thing and say this thing in the interview, you'll be able to clear it. And after clearing it also, you don't have to struggle. Why? Because when you will go to the project, client will tell you about the requirement or the issues or the scope of work. You will already understand that majority of the scope of work we have already talked about in our session. We have understood the issue, we have understood the solutioning process and its configuration options. Huh. We might have discussed, let's say, for example, I'm talking about template configuration based off commodity code and region. Now, when you go to your client is saying commodity code, region plus department. So now you will say, Manoj, what holds true for 2 parameters, it will hold true for 20 parameters also. So the fact is, I should know how to do the configuration for 2 parameters. Once I know about this thing, make it 20, make it 200. It does not happen because I know how to handle multiple parameter configuration in Ariba. Multiple can be 2, 20, or 200 also. It does not matter. But I know the basics. My basics are clear. So I can use this knowledge anywhere else. But if you don't know how to configure multiple parameters, you just know about templates. What will happen? Client is saying commodity code, region and department. You will say, what? I don't know how to do it. So that's the difference. Okay. Excuse me. Now, Iraj, yeah, am I audible to you?
Yes, Manoj, you are audible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Iraj, can you just share your screen and show the participant that what are the documents and the other things which we are going to share with all of them in this training?
Yeah, sure, Manoj. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll
Let
do
me
that
make you
one.
the presenter.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good. Hmm.
Yeah.
Uh, just a second. Uh,
Yeah, not an issue, Iraj.
because here,
Yeah, go to training, their user interface has changed considerably. But I think
yes,
the
yes, yes,
earlier go to training user interface was much better than this one.
much better. Yeah, always the newer things are not really, adaptable quickly, and also the new features which will really irritate sometimes to the end users. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, anyways, guys, like till I start sharing my screen, so what we can do is like I just want to brief, like you might have noticed like how the training is going to be and how knowledgeable Manoj is in terms of subject matter. Okay, the whole all the sessions, whichever the sessions coming forward, are going to be in the same fashion. Okay, so the main goal here is like as Manoj said very rightly. So this training is on very practical based, and we are covering only a lot of scenarios over here. Okay, and simultaneously our methodology is going to be, first we are going to start with concept building, then a process flow, then whichever we have discussed, and we are going to see it practically on the system. And I can say 60 to 70% of the training is going to be on the system itself. Okay, and also Manoj will be sharing his knowledge and practical knowledge, I mean like project knowledge, everything, and that's really going to be very helpful. And also you can ask, uh, yes, 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 we are going to also going to share some of the project documents. Everything is there, guys. I don't know, like there is something is not coming up in my system, so that I can show you the list of documents which we can show. So I'll just tell you a little bit of orally till I manage to come up with the this screen sharing. uh, so here basically we are going to share a lot of documents which are going to be prepared by Manoj, and also the standard SAP documents which we have it in upstream, downstream, and integration. Okay, first the documents, and all the sessions which you are attending also going to be recorded, like how today's session, and we are going to share you the recordings of this session also. Okay, all the sessions recordings will be there with you, which you are going to attend the live sessions. And uh, the thing here is like we are going to share you with a lot of other documents which basically are uh, certification documents, I can say. Okay, so in SAP Ariba, as we know, like there are 9 certifications in SAP Ariba, like sourcing, P2P, contracting, and SLP. So there are 9 certifications in SAP Ariba, but nobody is going to go for all those 9 certifications. Usually the most prominent are sourcing and procurement only. Okay, so those certifications also, certification material we are going to say, like, not really the dumps, but the guides will be there, the standard guides. Those also we are going to share to you guys. And also we have little bit of downloaded material from Learning Hub. Okay, SAP Learning Hub related with SAP Ariba. So also we are going to share those documents as well. Okay, and apart from that, the best part would be we will be sharing to everyone 2 months of 24 by 7 server access. Okay, that means Ariba tenant access we are going to share with you guys, so which is very essential. And we know, like, Ariba is not an on-premise solution, it's a cloud-based solution. So once we are talking about a cloud-based solution, it's on subscription basis. So normally, like how we used to take, we can do the installation of or SD or any other. In short, I can say ECC in local servers. We can't do it over here, and it's very tough to get the proper access. Okay, so that you can do hands-on. You can really work on those things, and you can make yourself really confident once before you are going into any project. So all these things are really going to be good taken care by us. And also we are going to be with you, like, almost I can say uh, 15 to 16 hours of support would be there on daily basis, in the sense, like, if at all you are having any issues with respect to the server or any other things, not the subject matter I'm saying, talking about any administrative aspects, so we will be there, our executives will be there, we are going to help you on out on that one. And every session is going to be designed in the same fashion like how it was today. So the whole session is going to be, initially we are going to do the complete sharing knowledge and everything. Then we are going to take up the question answer sessions. You are open to have a chat window over there. Okay, you can still post your chats if at all you are feeling like uh, any other things. Okay, yeah, and yes, we can use in the Mac also. Okay, that's not an issue. So it's for any operating system, irrespective of the operating system. You can go through the training, whether even like wherever go to training is compatible, we can use. Even the access part also you can configure in the Mac. It's just a remote access in which, like, you need to have a browser only. Yeah, so that's very simple. We are going to help you out to configure these things as well. Okay, office laptop, yeah, we are going to take up those queries here. Sorry guys, actually I'm unable to share the screen. We can start taking up the queries now. Okay, so hope everything, most of these things are going to be in. And one more thing, like, the session timings are going to be on the weekends, Indian time morning. Okay, because we can have, like, other participants also around the globe, like even Southeast Asia and US ET time zone guys are there here. Okay, yeah. So fine then. So what we do is, like, we'll just take up the question answer sessions immediately. So please raise your hands, guys, whoever have any queries. So we are going to unmute yourself. uh we are going to have this list. Okay, please raise your hands. You can find the this one, like, one icon over there, react. So you can raise your hands. We are going to have a question, and be open to ask any type of queries related with the administration, related with the subject, guys. Okay, so yeah, please raise your hands. We are going to unmute you. I can find some of the question in the chat window also over here. uh
I think Iraj, we can go ahead with Anshul over there. He has already raised the hand. So Anshul, you can
yeah, yes,
basically unmute yourself and ask your query.
Okay, okay. So my basic question is that, sorry, maybe you have told that, but something somehow I have missed that. But I again reiterate the same, that how much time duration of this course if we enrolled in weekend sessions?
So,
so
Anshul,
this,
the thing is, like, uh, I think, Iraj, let me just answer this particular thing over
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah,
So
please.
you have already told, you have already told this answer, but let me just reiterate. So this course duration is for almost like 40 hours, 40 hours plus. This is the first thing. The second thing is, like, we will be having 3 hour sessions on every weekend. That means on Saturday and Sunday. The timings are 7:30 a.m. till 10:30 a.m. IST on Saturday, on every Saturday and Sunday. So that's the first thing.
Okay.
Second thing is, like, this uh, sessions. that means this whole batch, generally, on a general note, do take somewhere around 1.5 months to get completed. You okay, give it something like plus minus 10% over there. It can be a little bit more, it can be a little bit less also, depending upon how you guys basically pick up this knowledge. So if we are having more guys who are already working in Ariba, so it will take a little bit less time. But if we are having more guys who are new to Ariba, so it will take a little bit more time. So on an average, 1.5 months, this whole entire batch will be.
Okay. And one more question, Manoj, to you. That you clearly mentioned that you are going to give the training which help us to deliver the project. Okay.
Exactly.
So my question is that, so basically you are going to cover each integration things, because you know that integration is very important part of Ariba, because most of the client have their existing ERP and they want to integrate with that. So that kind of as Ariba is standalone solution, right? So you are covered with not SAP ECC or HANA. You are going to cover with different ERP as well, or on the SAP Ariba.
See, first and foremost thing, when you will go, see, the thing is like there are two things, Anshul. So I will tell you.
Mhm,
So if you would have asked me this question in 2014, 2013, then I would have said yes. For SAP ERP based system, we will use CI, that is Cloud Integration Adapter, and
mhm,
for non-SAP system we will use ITK, integration toolkit. But from 2019 what happened is like a clear picture came into the uh, mind from the Gartner report. So in the Gartner report we can basically see that Ariba customers who are implementing Ariba, they are always from SAP background. They are always from SAP background. So what happens is like right now, whenever we will go, majorly we will use CIG. In certain cases for the client, we will use CI9. Why? Because they will always have a SAP ERP backend, either ECC6 or S4HANA. That's the first thing.
mhm,
Majority of the clients who are from non-SAP ERP, what they do is like they don't use Ariba. They use other procurement software like Coupa. This is not from
mhm,
SAP.
mhm.
They, it's a what you can say, rival camp of Ariba over there.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
so when you will go to any Ariba project, so your major task would be to integrate the Ariba solution with that of SAP ERP. So that is why we are going to basically focus on CI9 and CIG. But right now, if you look at integration toolkit, that is the ITK, that is obsolete. So instead of that, what came is CPI, Cloud Platform Integration. Now the issue with CPI is like we cannot do anything over there. Why? Because CPI means CPI developer is required. So CPI developer will do the mapping between the Ariba process with that of the non-SAP ERP. So that's a separate thing altogether. So you cannot be a Ariba functional consultant plus CPI developer. So that is why from a integration consultant perspective, as I said, the most important thing, whether you're working with a SAP system or a non-SAP system, is this one. I think I'm not basically sharing my screen. Let me just share my screen. Okay. The most important thing is this one. See, I've highlighted it. Integration scenario. If you cannot do that, then you are lost. So that is why our focus is basically the integration scenario building. That's the first thing. Second thing is basically we will understand CN and CIG, but we will also talk a little bit on CPI. That means how we will coordinate with a CPI developer. You don't have to write code, you don't have to do this custom mapping within CPI, but how will you coordinate with a CPI developer when your client is using a non-SAP ERP? That also we are going to understand.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other queries, Anshul? You can go ahead.
No, no. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Manoj, yeah, before
Okay.
that, I'll be able to share my screen. I hope like every one of you guys can see the screen, right? Can you see my screen, Manoj?
Just a moment. Not till now. Okay, let me make you the just a moment. I think it is still coming on me. Let me make you the presenter. Yeah. Can you just 1 second share your screen, Hiraj?
Yeah, I'm sharing.
Now we
Yeah.
can see it. Yeah, now we can see it.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Actually, there was some glitch over here. So now every one of you can see the screen, right? So one thing I want to tell you, like every one of, as we discussed, like all the sessions which you are attending also going to be recorded, and those are properly, arranged in the folder in G Drive. And this particular thing we are going to share with you. So guys, we are training to people so many, like we have completed so many batches, and every batch normally we used to have like 15 to 20 participants on the weekends, but we have reduced the uh, number of participants intake, because there are few more things which we more consider, like if uh, more number of participants are there, so that's really going to be difficult. Like 20 participants in a batch is really difficult to handle the things. So we have divided like more number of batches. So anyways, like I'll just show you the most recent batches which happened. uh,
Yeah, I think it
yeah.
is already over here, February 23, 2022.
Yes, yes. So this is the
Because
most
in
recent.
March, I think we have not completed any batch over here.
It's going on. Yeah, it's going on,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
still uh, not completed. So guys, you see the.
yeah,
I hope like every one of you can see this one. Okay, the format of the documents for how we are sharing. So in the first folder, we'll be having the recordings. Then Ariba access details will be there. Then there will be notepads which Manoj is demonstrating over there. Then we can see the documents. Okay. uh, then certification material, then learning hub documents. So if you're going to the recordings, so there will be all the recording sessions. This batch is still going on, I guess, right, Manoj?
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's still going.
So I think I will show you the one more batch, prior to this, so that it
I think,
make
yeah, go to
more.
the January batch.
Any batch, I'll just go. Okay, just a
Yeah.
second. May 2022. Yeah, yeah, Jan 10th. Okay, they'll go to this particular batch. Okay, so everything is going to, yeah, this batch is little full. So here you can see the right from the demo session till all the sessions which we are going to cover it over here are going to be properly placed in the folder, and this folder we are going to share with you guys. Then we'll be having the Ariba access details, where you'll be assigned with a proper detailed document how you are going to log in and everything, and do's and don'ts of those things. And we'll be having list of all the documents, details, and everything.
Just a
Notepad details.
moment, Eras.
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off over there. So, guys,
Mhm.
first of all, in the recordings, remember, from starting from the demo session till our last session, every session is recorded. So it generally gets saved in the cloud. So our admin team will basically convert this file from a, what you can say, from a
Go to
raw format to that of, yeah, MP4 format, and then it will be shared with all of you guys in this Google Drive in the recording part. Second thing is the Ariba access. Ariba access happens in two ways: Ariba buyer access as well as Ariba network access. We will give you the access for 2 months. That means 60 days from the day when you receive this particular Google Drive till 60 days. You will have the access from Ariba buyer and Ariba network. Now the thing is, like, you can not only do the transactional document part in the system, you can also do the functional configuration like uploading catalogs, working on the templates, configuring the approval workflow. All those things you can do, but the only thing which you cannot do is basically the super admin role. You will never be given the super admin role. Why? Because this Ariba access is not from some client development system which we are giving to you. This we have taken separately from SAP Ariba for doing this training. And as per the contract which we have signed with Ariba, Ariba has specifically prohibited us to give the super admin role to any external user. So that means what? You cannot create a user, you cannot delete a user, you cannot change the role. But yes, all the other functional configurations like creating catalogs, uploading catalogs, creating templates, then changing the templates, then carrying out a transactional process, all these configurations you can do. But you cannot change the user, you cannot change the roles. Those things is only present for our delivery manager. Delivery manager only have the access, and we cannot give it to anybody else. So just to be clear, so why? Because we want to be upfront clear about the things which we are going to do. So, that is why I think that's a good idea to, let all the participants know that these are the things which we will share with them.
Yes, 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 very much right, Manoj. So Manoj was saying like about the access, it would be for 2 months, but these drives like the recordings, the documents are going to be with you for lifelong. Okay, here is a difference. Like the access will be for 2 months, and the recordings, the other documents are going to be lifelong for you. Okay, so yeah, so the other I'll give a quick glance, just have a quick glance on the documents which we are providing. So you see, somebody was asking like, do we provide the a little bit of project guideline documents? Yes, we do provide. So we do have other things, and upon request we can provide more. So the documents are divided like upstream, downstream, and integration here. So you see downstream. Okay, then also we do have like integration also. I just want to show you. Yeah, so yeah, Manoj was saying about this configuration document. Okay, so this particular CIG configuration document which we have over here.
So these are guys, these are custom document which have been prepared by me. This is not a standard SAP document, but this is definitely going to help you in your process, so that you can,
Yes,
when you will go into the project, you will, you'll be able to do the stuff very easily.
yes. So here
Come
basically
down
we
a little
having
bit. Yeah, come down to the middle of the document over there. Yeah, process in ERP add-on configuration. Come into that part, Iraj. Yeah,
yes. So here you
yeah.
can see like
See?
we do have proper screenshots also over here. Okay, so with the screenshots we can see like how you are going to configure. We have done, actually Manoj has done a great job, very patiently he has taken all step by step configuration. So this is a complete guide, guys, so that this I can say is a bible for configuration consultants, like who can go step by step, details, everything is there over here. So this is the document which Manoj was
And
talking.
and and
And
don't worry,
apart from
guys.
that,
Just a moment, Era. Don't worry, guys, because the screenshot was coming a little bit blurred. That is basically a MacBook OS feature. But when we will basically work with this document, the screenshot
that
will
is
be appearing very, very properly.
no, those documents are very proper, and we'll be providing even PDF documents also for the same. Okay, nothing to worry on that part. Okay,
Exactly.
and whichever is going to be committed, we are going to give you more than that. Okay, guys. So apart from that, we do have certification material, because you see, guys, there are,
Era,
as I discussed. Yeah.
Era, can you just go into notepads, because I want to basically go into this part, because the thing is like, when you go to theoretical training, the theoretical trainer will always basically give you the standard PDF books. But the thing is like, in our session we have shown integration manuals we are doing, that is a custom document, right? So let's just open the catalog notepad over there. Why? Because I wanted to show it to all our participants that see, this is the document which we have created while doing the catalog configuration. Now you will see these are all the steps. That means the summary of the points which we have covered in that session, plus the steps which you have to do to perform the configuration. So that, let's say, you have gone through our sessions. Once you go to the project, at that point of time you want something of ready reckoner. Okay, I want to upload the catalog file or the zip file. What are the steps I have to do? How I have to do it? Refer to this notepad. And remember, this is for every session. So that is why we have basically prepared this custom document for all of you guys, and you can refer to this custom document at the time of project working. You were saying you don't have time to go through the recordings, you know about this thing, but certain things need a little bit more revising. Refer to this custom notepad. This will be very, very helpful while you are working in the project. Yeah, thanks, Era, for showing this thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was really great point, Manoj. Yeah, thanks for the adding the things over here. So here one more thing, guys. So I was just discussing about certification. So I have just opened this one. So SAP Ariba, I was just discussing like cloud certification, right? So SAP has come with different cloud certifications. So Ariba part, if we are seeing only Ariba part, okay. So from here, ARCIG, from here till here some till here. Yeah, so I think they have again reduced few of the more certifications here. So here see Ariba supplier management, Ariba sourcing, Ariba supply chain collaboration, procurement, Ariba contract, and Ariba integration with this one. So these are the certifications which Ariba, SAP is offering in Ariba side. So this documentation also will be providing to you, so that it's going to be helpful, because the training is completely covering all these contents of this one, except like, yeah, supply chain collaboration we are not covering because of the system is not ready yet, and we don't have a proper system to show on this one. Even the system is not ready in the sense like from SAP side also, because there are a lot of scenarios we can't show it. Again, there are going to be a lot of glitches, so that those things we don't want to waste our time over there. Apart from that, everything we are covering in detail, and people are writing the certification, okay, and they are very much clearing up. 90-95% of the participants are clearing the certification. The most prominent certifications here are SAP Ariba sourcing and Ariba procurement, okay, because you no need to have all these certifications in your basket. Like only 2 or 3 more prominent certification really do your work. So these are the quick things which we are. And also we do have learning hub videos where like sourcing, contracting, so all these videos we have downloaded from uh, directly from SAP Ariba learning hub. So little confidential, but this is we are going to share with all the participants also over here. So yeah, that's it guys from my end. So we are basically providing all these documents, and apart from this one, as I was saying to you, so there will be participants from different countries also will be working almost round the clock. So if any issues are coming up, our team will be there to help you out, and will reach to you as soon as possible if off time also. Okay guys, so yes, we can start asking the queries. I can see the hands raised over here. I think I don't know your name completely, but I see
VS,
VS.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You can
So
basically go ahead and unmute yourself.
yeah, please unmute yourself, VS.
Hi, Manoj, thank you so much. Am I audible to you all?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
you are.
yeah. You are.
Okay, thank you. Uh, Only two little queries, Manoj and Raj. Uh,
Yeah,
as I can see, you will start from basics, and that is really very good thing. So there are some basic
yeah,
concepts actually, during the first session you have to clarify. So my question is, number one, uh,
yeah,
so because as I feel this is fast-paced course, 40 hours. So people like
yeah.
me, I'm not, uh, you know, uh, this is my first interaction with Ariba. I'm not sure that 40 hours are sufficient or not. So if I require some further help beyond 40 hours, those queries or some, support will be provided or not. One. And secondly, on day-to-day basis, how the query resolution or if because we all are in over you know you know uh, working on the projects in parallel. So how would be the strategy to help during these 40 hours training sessions? So you will take queries online, or we need to send over questions, or where we are stucking those points to you and you will get back to us?
Okay. So yes, there are a few things you have to understand first. The first thing is like every session we will have our points. Okay. So we will understand those particular content over there. Once we understand, we will have our question answer session. That's the first thing. Second thing is like certain times, you know, what happens is like majority of the time, once we complete the session, what happens is like some of the participant will ask, some of the participant will go through the recording on the weekdays, then they will come back with question. So both online and offline we are going to take it. Online means after the session we are going to take the question answers, and if somebody is having some extra questions, they can basically send it to our Gmail. We will basically, once when you register, all of you register with us, we will be sharing that specific email ID with all of you guys where you can share your questions, and after looking at your question, I will be basically be replying back to your answer. So both online as well as offline we'll use.
Okay, and what about
So to add,
after completion of the training? That is more important.
yeah, I
I know
was
that
coming over there on this.
we're not going to bother you, for
No, that's
next
what, yeah, yeah,
3 months or
VS.
4 months, even after completion of course.
No,
But
no, no.
yeah, some
I,
hand holding still
I'll,
would be required.
I will highlight on this point. Okay, the first thing, whatever Manoj has said, like we are going to do that, and also like means like on rare of the risk, means few of the cases which if immediate means like really you need to clear few things with Manoj during the session of the sessions, I can say during the weekdays time. This is weekend batch, right? So in the weekdays, if you find like it's very tough for you to go through it and you have list of queries and through email communication is not getting clear, so we can even have a one-on-one call with Manoj also. We are going to put a conference call in this one on some occasion. Normally, he's a very busy guy, so he'll not be there. This is one thing. The second part which you asked was like post training support. Okay, so you see guys, there is no such thing like we are going to be there with you guys only during the training. Okay, we still are in touch with the people who have taken the training with us back in 2016 also. Okay, post training we are going to create a WhatsApp group. Okay, so in WhatsApp group all the participants of this particular batch is going to be added over there, and our other mentors are going to be over there. Okay, if at all you are having any queries, you can even post in those in that particular WhatsApp group. And if at all you see like as in human nature we want more. Okay, we want how much we want, also we give, also still we get, also we want more. Okay, there would be a proper if of course sessions also, if you want to, if you are working on any project, if you have quickly one or two queries you want to get clear with Manoj, still we can have a one-on-one call with him. Even after the sessions also, I mean like down the line after 1 year also we can have the call with us. Okay, if it is very important. But the thing is like we'll not ask this, will not entertain this kind of question. Oh, I'm just starting a new project, so this is the thing, can you give me the solution? Okay, that requires a lot of time and efforts to do that one. For that we do have a separate process called project support. Okay, separate service called project support service. So if you are working on any project and if you really need any support of ours, we do have very good consultant, and Manoj will be handling them. Okay, and we can provide you the project support, on job project support also. So this thing is also there. Okay, yeah, free support is going to be there always anytime. But if you want to avail professional project support, if at all you feel like that project is really tough, or you are unable to handle it even after the free advices from us, so still you can avail those particular things as well. Yeah, yeah, yes.
Thank you. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Yeah, you are most welcome. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
Manish, I can see here. Manish, can you just, Nawaz is asking how difficult will it be for someone who don't know SAP MM and function. No, Nawaz, you see, like only you need to know is like procurement. If you are aware of procurement terminologies and the little bit of flow, then it's more than enough. Okay. Anyways, like we are going to come back to you. So first, yeah, Manish.
Hi, Raja, and hi, Manoj. First of all, good morning to both of you.
Yeah.
My one question is that first question is that you have told that you are going to share the AIVA access. So I'm coming from SAP background myself. So in SAP, basically in ECC, we have something called landscape called dev, quality, and production and sandbox. So the system which you are going to share with us is Ariba. SAP. Is this kind of sandbox? Or is it kind of dev?
Yes, yes. No, we
Something
don't have
like
a
that.
concept of sandbox over here. We are
So I
testing from
actually
the
I don't know
beginning.
the landscape because in the
Yes,
first session, so just wanted to understand what is the landscape in Ariba. I don't know, to be very frank.
Okay.
In
Okay. So, Manish, I think let us let me answer this question over here. So, Manish,
yes, sure,
the
sure.
thing is like in Ariba, the landscape are uh, what happens is like, generally most of the client would like to have development, quality, and production system over there. But the issue
Yes.
is like if the client go ahead with three system over there or three sites, they have to pay huge money to Ariba. So that is why to avoid that particular thing, what happens is like majority of the client, whenever they will sign a contract with Ariba, Ariba will say take two system. One is a test system, other is a production system. So test system will be used for what? For development as well as testing the scenarios. And once it has
Okay.
been done, then we will move all the changes to production. So generally majority of the client will have testing system, then the production system. But certain client who is willing to spend huge money on Ariba, they will have dev, quality, and production. That
Okay,
will be like 10% of the client maximum.
I got it. I got
90% of
it,
the
sir.
client will have testing and production only.
Okay. And my second question is that just like when we go for an implementation ECC, we have a requirement gathering phase. So like we study the business process, what are the the whole as is
Yeah,
process. So in Riva also, are you do we have similar kind of process we follow requirement gathering? Because I
yeah,
think
yeah,
it's a cloud-based service.
definitely. it
So are you
it,
going to
it is the same. So
same?
first of all,
Also,
let me just clarify. Let me just
okay,
clarify on this part, Manish. So the first and
mhm,
foremost thing, it's same like that of SAP ERP system. So the requirement
okay,
gathering happens. We do have workshops over there. Basically, the scope of work will be shared by the client with us. Then basically we will understand it, and there we will study the as is and to be document, and we will basically see the as is. Based upon that, we will prepare the to be document, and then the difference between them is basically the gap document that also we will prepare for the different solutioning purposes. Once that is done, then we will prepare the BUP business blueprint and get a sign up from the client. Then the what you can say realization phase, not realization, basically not deploy phase, build phase will start over there.
okay. So are you going to share some, can you please share some sample document, like I don't understand the client name cannot be revealed. It's all confidential documents. So are you going to share some sample docs, real-time documents, which you have done in the project? So
No,
I hope you
real time we
understand.
cannot, real time document we cannot share, but yes, are going to basically share with you guys the template, because in Ariba you cannot use the SAP ERP template. Ariba templates are totally different. So we are
Okay,
going to basically share with you guys the Ariba templates for the document which is being used over here, because here we will basically have a document called as requirement gathering workbook. But it might sound like only requirement gathering workbook, but there are a lot of things which we will capture over there. Even functional specs document also will be there. So those documents we will share with all of you guys. But remember, this will not be from any client. Why? Because when you work in Ariba security for any project is very tough. So whenever you will work with a US client or a European client over there, when you're working in Ariba, they will mandatorily ask you to work in a Citrix environment. So Citrix environments mean you cannot use anything, you cannot download anything in your system. Second is like your private email will be strictly be prohibited. Even you
no,
cannot use
I
your
know that.
company's thing.
I know that. I know that. I know that. I understand it.
Yeah,
I completely respect that thing also. So,
yeah.
but that those templates will have some dummy data will be there, na? Like some Excel sheet.
Yeah. Data will be there. Yeah, dummy data will be there,
Okay.
so that you can get a good idea, or you can get a good picture what data will exist in those
Okay.
documents.
Okay. That's it from my side. Thank you, Manoj. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome, Manish.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, welcome. Uh,
Okay,
so
I
guys,
think
don't
Iraj.
forget, before we answer further questions, don't forget, like tomorrow we have the same, we have one more session that's going to be the first session for tomorrow. So be available for tomorrow's session also, okay, guys.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think Iraj, I think we can basically go to the chat box. Within the chat box, I think there is a lot of questions which are present over there. Okay, let me answer those things. Yeah.
All right.
So yeah. So I'm new in SAP line. I choose Ariba module. So what should I do or not? So first and foremost thing, see, I am hoping that all of you guys are having at least the basic knowledge in procurement. So when I say basic knowledge of procurement means what is a PR, what is a PO, these things all of you guys are knowing. So if you know what is a PR, what is a PO, what is a GR, that's more than enough. See, in earlier batches also we have trained a lot of consultants who were basically coming from non-SAP background, like Oracle, Microsoft, but they have the procurement domain knowledge. That means basic knowledge about the procurement. You should not ask me what is PR, what is PO during the process. So if those things are clear, you should be, you're most welcome to join these sessions. Yes, you have to put hard work. Let me tell all of you guys upfront, all of the participants who are going to join this session, remember this is a teamwork. We will put hard work from our side. You also have to put your effort on your side also. So then what will happen? We will have the desired result. if you don't go through the recordings, we'll basically say, okay, today's session is completed. Now you are having the whole week ahead of you. Go through the recordings of the session, understand the recording, watch the recording, understand the points. Once you understand it, then what will happen? 50% of your work is done. Then what you will do? You have to go and practice in the system. There also we will give some specific task. Do it. So this will help you in understanding. This will immediately increase your knowledge as well as your confidence. So in this way you have to learn. But remember, if you don't know anything about procurement, I will highly suggest please don't do this session, because that would be a serious wastage of money. Because that is what we always say to all of our participants, that if you're not from the procurement background at all, that means you don't know what is PR, what is PO. You don't have any idea about PRPO. You want to basically come for a Ariba session. That I will highly suggest don't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So the same question was from Abhijit. I have no background in procurement. So Abhijit, I really request like you call me directly so that I can suggest you what to do. Okay, based upon your, because there is no point. More than money, is time is very important, right? So you will be wasting your time, unnecessarily going to the domain which you really don't have the knowledge initially, because the things are changing so fast. Okay, we should not invest our time and money over the things which are sometimes not meant for us. Yeah, all right. So there is one more programming that I answered. Guys, there is no need of programming knowledge here, okay, because it's totally functional. If at all there is a need to change something programmatically, no Ariba consultant is going to do, as Manoj has said, I mean, like indicated in the session itself, like we are going to raise the enhancement request, and Ariba is responsible to do any coding changes, and we don't have any authorization in also to do any changes. So no programming skills, no coding is required over here in SAP Ariba.
Yeah. So that is why you will guys, all of you guys will work as a Ariba functional consultant. Nobody will work as Ariba technical consultant. Yeah.
So I
And
think we have
another,
covered
I
most
think,
of it.
I think another question is there. I think, how difficult
From
will it be
Tui,
for someone who do not know SAP MM and starting fresher? Again, I will suggest, guys, you find a job in procurement side, work for at least 1 year, then you come to us. Because at the end of the day, see, the thing is like it's not about just the money. Yes, money is a part, but that is not the primary thing, because we are also doing a very good job of sharing our knowledge with all of you guys. So we don't, if this training is not going to help you, so we will not suggest you to come for this. So if you are a fresher, I will suggest work in a procurement domain for 1 year, then you come back to us. This training is going to help you immensely. But if you are a fresher, I will highly suggest, that means you're fresh out of engineering or MBA, I will suggest wait, get a job in procurement domain, work for 1 year, then you come back to us. What do you say, Iraj, on this part?
yeah, it's a very good thing. It's like it's a good advice from the expert, I can say. Yeah, yeah, very true, Manoj. So you are the best person to answer that one in a proper way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Thanks, Iraj.
think most of the queries been answered, Manoj. So guys, and there is one query from Chui, Andre Chui.
Yeah.
So he's asking like, can you
Share
share
a
a
bit
bit
on
on
Ariba
Ariba
license.
license? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So let me just share on this part. Let me give the answer over here, Iraj. So first and foremost thing, Ariba does not have licenses. So if you work on Ariba on premise, it's license based. But Ariba cloud, no, sorry, not Ariba on premise, SAP on premise, they're based on licenses. Cloud solution of SAP does not have licenses. It's basically having subscription cost. Just like, for example, you will go and watch your DTH, direct to house, cable TVs, right? So there, what you will do, you will basically take a
Netflix
subscription.
also.
Okay,
Netflix is a good example, Manoj. Netflix.
exactly. Yeah, Netflix also. Yeah, don't take the full HD one, because that would be too much costly. Just take not full HD. Sorry, don't take the 4K one. Don't take the 4K one. That will be too much costly. Take the full HD one. That is more than enough. If you have a HDR compliant screen, that will look great, and you will save a lot of money also.
Yeah, the same thing applies here in Ariba as well, right? Sometimes, so licensing part.
Exactly. Exactly. So Ariba subscription depend on not upon the number of users, but upon the solutions which your client is saying. Let's say your client is saying, I will go with upstream only with sourcing, very less amount of cost. But if some client is coming to you and they're saying upstream plus downstream including every module, so yes, the subscription cost will be much higher. Along with that, there is a limit. What's the limit? The limit is based on the number of transactions which you are creating every year. So there is a limit to that. So based on the different limit, there will be different slabs. So 5,000 transactional document, okay, this much amount of money. If it breaks that 5,000 range, then 5,001 to 10,000, this is the subscription which you have to do. If it breaks the 10,000, then 10,001 to 15,000, this much is a subscription cost. So subscription cost in Ariba generally depends upon the number of transactional documents which are being created, and the second thing is the solution perspective, the different solutions which your client is asking. So based on these two things, subscription cost will be
And one more thing I
determined
want
by
to add
Ariba.
here, Manoj. So also Ariba is, little bit on the, geographical location side as well. So that also
Yeah,
depends upon the which geographical locations you are coming. You see, for the MENA region, they have different licensing, solution. For Southeast Asia, they have different, and for
exactly.
North America, they have different licensing. So it
Yeah.
depends. Like
And another
if they
thing,
want to promote their, yeah,
and
Manoj, go ahead.
another thing is like, if you take a long-term subscription, like 5 years, 10 years, then they are very happy. Why? Because they are get paid for a long term. So what they will do, they will offer additional discount. But if say some client is saying 1 year or 2 year, then they will not offer any discount. But let's say another client is saying full upstream, downstream, 10,000 transactional document, but for 5 years or for the next 10 years, then Ariba will be very happy. They will give you extra support, they will give you some, let's say 10% extra discount, so that you keep on using it for next 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
so all these factors will be there in the
So there is
subscription.
no static thing over here, so it may change. And if you are a good negotiator, showing them good things, still you can get good things. Yeah, thank you. I hope, like Chui, you have got this answer. Yes, thank you. So Iraj, please give me your number. Yes, you can take my number from any one of his. Anyways, like what I'm going to do is like again, put my number over here to everyone. If you
Yeah,
anyone of you
exactly.
are
So
having
that would
any
be, that
issues,
would be great,
you
Iraj,
can reach
if
me
you
out.
can
Okay,
type your
yes.
number in the chat box.
So this is my number, guys. So you can reach me out if you are having any issues, any queries. So with the country code also I have added. Yeah, Manoj number, you can call me. I can add Manoj in the call because Manoj number is little confidential. So he
See,
is,
guys, I will tell you. I will tell you. The issue is what happens is like, when we have shared this number, previously we have shared this number. So what happened was like I was getting call at 1 o'clock in the night, 2 o'clock in the night, 3 o'clock in the night. I was saying what is happening over there. So from that day onwards, what we have decided is like we are going to keep my number confidential. Now, if you want to have a talk with me, you just have a talk with Eraj or our business
yeah,
relationship
so,
executive. From
sorry
there,
guys, sorry guys.
I will be added.
Manoj, I'm so sorry. I missed one number over there. So please make a note of this correct number, which is I am just pinging you now. I missed four in my previous, message. So it's +91 840 8878 222. Okay, yeah, this is my number. So if at all you are having any queries, you can reach me out, guys. And for Manoj, we are going to give you the Manoj's email address through which you can interact with Manoj anytime you want it, because we don't mind giving Manoj number directly, but it was always people are going to stalk him for there is no reason. Okay, if at all you want to talk to Manoj, you can call me. I can take him in the conference. We can have, even for this training doubts or anything today's session also, you can call me. And if you want to talk to Manoj, I can take him in the conference. That's not an issue. Yeah. So yeah, guys, so if anyone is having any more queries, guys, so you can just answer.
Yeah, I
Otherwise,
think
what you can do is
Jagdish
you
is
can end
having.
up the session. Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
think Jagdish is there. Let us take his query, and then we can
Sure,
round
Manoj.
up our session. Yeah,
Yes,
Jagdish,
for
can you
sure.
please unmute yourself?
Yeah, good morning, Manoj and Raj. So actually, I have a doubt. So I'm from the SAP background, SRM. So I don't
Yeah.
have a knowledge. Like I was in
No,
domain
it's not
experience. I
required.
was having.
I think Jagdish, let me just share one thing with you. If you have heard about my what you can say my introduction when Era said, he said that I started my career in SRM, and after that I
Okay.
moved into Ariba. So it
Uh-huh.
was wonderful for me. So if you are already working in SRM and you're trying to move to Ariba, that's a very good thing. It's basically you are in the procurement domain, you're just upgrading the technology. That means you are unlearning SRM technology and you're learning the Ariba technology. So this will be
Of
very much
course.
better for you for your future endeavors.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So basically, I was started in procurement. My whole domain is procurement with SAP. First, it would be a SRM as well as MM. I started as a end user. Then I was
Yeah,
started like it is a non SAP background. It is Oracle, and then I
yeah,
moved to SRM. So presently, so I hope you are clarified everything. So my
yeah,
query is most of the implements I have done for the Indian governments. So
yeah,
they usually ask whatever the like sourcing when they are going to source. So they are seeking whatever the bits they are getting online. They will seek for
hmm,
the encryption and decryption. So is we have
yeah.
feature that in Ariba?
No, not directly. You won't have a direct feature over here in Ariba for encryption and decryption, but indirectly it is available. So indirectly how it's done over there in Ariba, we will basically talk about this in our integration session. There's a thing called as SAP BTP. So this particular BTP platform, through this, what we can do is like we can build APIs, application programming interface. So within this APIs, what we can do, we can basically integrate third-party application with that of Ariba. So encryption, decryption, yes, I have also worked over there. So there will be different certificate, class 3 certificate will be there, right? And that particular
Yes.
thing will be integrated with a, I think, certifying authority component, and that component will basically verify the signature whether it's class 3 or not, or whether it's the correct certificate or not. So yes, this kind of third party APIs can be integrated with Ariba with the help of this SAP BTP APIs, but remember that will require extra work. So that means we need to catch hold of some Java developer and we need to coordinate with them. But yes, it can be done in Ariba, but extra knowledge is required. So we will discuss this thing during our integration session. But yes, it can be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
If you
Thank
have
you.
asked me this question in 2017, I would have said no. But from 2018, almost like October or November, we are able to do this thing. And now it is much more advanced. At that time, it was like, only Ariba APIs was there. But from previous year, that means from 2021, SAP BTP got launched. So it become much more advanced over here. So yes, we can do it right now with all the advanced features in Ariba.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you. And one more thing is, if suppose there will be a session like 7:30 to 10:30 in the morning, if suppose
Mhm,
in some other case like I have missed some sessions, so is
mhm.
it possible another time or it will be a next session? So it will be a continuous or how it will be?
Yes, I'll answer this question, Jagdish. So the thing here is like you see, all the sessions which you're attending also being recorded. Okay, you can go through the recordings. If you
Mm-hmm.
are missed, like still the session was will be going on, and we'll be recording
Mm-hmm.
that session, and those recordings will be shared to you. So first thing is like you'll be having the recording to worry on that one if at all you're missing the session. Now,
Okay,
if you
so
are
you mean to say
feeling like,
what?
oh, I really want to, yeah, I'm coming to that part. So if you feel like, oh, I missed, after this listening to the recording, still you have a lot of things to understand. You want to repeat the session. Okay. So we'll be running some other batches or the next upcoming batch also. Whichever the session you have missed, you can make a note of it. We can include you in that one for that specific session. Okay. For the upcoming batches or any parallel batch which is going on the weekdays or weekend evening time also. Okay, we can include you in that one. Okay, but for a specific sessions only, if at all it is necessary. Not we are going to repeat the whole training sessions here.
Yeah, yeah, got it. Thank you. And one more thing is I used to travel most of the like all over
Mhm.
India. I'm carrying my
Mhm.
office laptop only. So in my office
Mhm.
laptop, it will be like none of the sites we cannot open. So in that
Mhm.
case, how
You
it will
can
be the
you see
like
you can you,
Yep, yep.
you can go through, you can get it, even you can view the session on your mobile devices, like whether it's a tab or mobile. You can see the sessions. Okay, yeah, you
Yeah,
can come
session I
to
can see, but what about the practice? Like, how can I do with using my office
practice.
laptop?
Yeah, for that one, definitely you need to have this one, a laptop. That we can't help you out. Okay.
Because I in my office SAP GUI is there, so in that we can any IP address
No,
to
no, no,
IP
no,
address we
no.
can.
No, no, no.
That you cannot
That
use,
is
Jagdish.
that is a physically, that's a desktop version. But here we are having a this one, so we can give
Cloud
it a
version.
try. Okay, if your RDP is enabled, okay, RDP,
Mhm.
okay, remote desktop protocol, which normally
Okay.
you might be using. Okay, so in that one we can add a new RDP. We can have a way out, but I can't 100% assure you if you are. It depends upon company to company. Okay, the protocol they are having. So if they want to restrict 100%, no, there is no other way. You
Mhm.
need to have another laptop for the practice purpose. Yeah.
Okay, so if you can give me that kind of any link or any IP address, so I can request my company to enable that particular that, and we have
Yeah,
go
yeah, yeah.
for that.
Yes, yes,
Yep.
yes. We can do that.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. That's my end questions.
Thank you, Jagdish.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you, Jagdish.
Yep.
Okay,
So,
so I think
all right.
Eraj, we have taken all everybody's query over there. So I think today we can basically conclude with our session.
Sure, Manoj.
Yeah, but before that, guys, please remember, uh, if you want to basically register for this particular training sessions, please get in touch with Eraj or our BREs, also business relationship executive like Pallavi, Nikita, Sana, Krishna. So they will basically help you in registering. Also, if you're having some doubts in your mind, please get in touch with Eraj so that we can basically process your registration. Because once you register quickly, what will happen is like you will not only be able to attend our session, but you will also be getting this G Drive access. Along with the G Drive access, you will get the Ariba access, and you can also start your work. Why? Because remember, without this Ariba access, see this demo recording, first session recording, this recordings you will not get. So what will happen is like our session will increase, but your practice will decrease over there. So that is why we will highly suggest that if you are wanting to basically join this session as well as this batches over there, please get in touch with our business relationship executive or Eraj over there. So they will help you in registering. Once the registration process is getting completed, so all those things will be shared with you so that you can also put your effort over here.
All right, Manoj. Yeah, that's a great thing. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you so much, and see you in tomorrow's session again. And have a nice weekend to everyone. Thank you, and thanks a lot to you, Manoj. And it was such a nice session you have delivered with complete means like for entry point of view, like very good insight. And I really appreciate your knowledge and your way of explanation over here. Hope
uh,
everyone got
Eraj,
benefited out of it.
Eraj, a small correction. I have not delivered. We have delivered.
No, no.
It's a
Content wise,
teamwork.
you have done. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
That's
we
so
have
generous
delivered.
of you, Manoj. Yeah, really generous. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
very
much.
much over here, Raj. Yeah,
Yeah.
and thanks
All
everybody.
right. All right, guys. Thank you.